stop to think about what's hiding inside a simple hello? Well, in Chinese, that first little greeting, it's absolutely packed with cultural meaning, and it can tell you so much more than just the words themselves. I mean, saying hello seems pretty simple, doesn't it? But what if I told you that in some languages, that first hello is actually this whole complex dance that tells you so much about a culture's deepest values?
And yeah, you guessed it, that is exactly the case with Chinese. See, greetings and introductions are not just about the words. They're like a direct window into core cultural values like respect, social hierarchy, and the importance of building a good connection right from the start.
All right, so let's dive in. We'll start with the stuff you might already be a little familiar with, the everyday greetings. Now, these might seem super simple on the surface, but trust me, they're the foundation for everything we're about to get into. Okay, so the one most people know, right, is ni hao, or ni hao, that little text in the parentheses that's called pinyin. It's basically our guide to pronouncing the characters. Ni hao is a fantastic all-purpose hello, perfect for friends, people your age, you get the idea. In the morning, you might hear zao shang hao, or for something more casual, just a quick zao. So far so simple, right? But this is just the tip of the iceberg.
That's because, in Chinese, respect isn't just an attitude. It's literally woven into the fabric of the language itself, and it all kicks off with just one single word.
And this right here is probably one of the most crucial distinctions you need to know. See, in Chinese, there are two ways to say you. You have ni, pronounced ni, which is informal, great for your friends and peers. But then you have nin, and listen to that subtle change in sound. That one is reserved specifically for showing respect to teachers, elders, your boss, anyone in a position of authority.
So just by swapping out that one little sound, going from ni hao to nin hao, you are sending a huge signal. You're showing that you see and respect the social structure, that you're showing deference. It's such a tiny linguistic tweak, but it has massive cultural weight. And this whole idea of respect, it definitely doesn't stop with pronouns. Oh no, it extends right into how people use names, which adds this whole other layer of formality.
First off, let's look at the name structure itself, because it totally tells a story. So unlike in a lot of Western cultures, the family name comes first and then the given name. For Wang Xiaomei, Wang is the family name. This isn't just some random convention, it's like a cultural fingerprint. It really emphasizes the importance of the family, the collective, before the individual.
Okay, and this is absolutely key. In pretty much any formal situation, you're gonna address someone by their family name plus their title. So you'd say, Teacher Wang, or Manager Wang. If you just call an adult by their given name, like Xiaomei, it can come off as way too familiar, maybe even a little rude. Titles are a huge sign of respect.
And you can see how this all plays out perfectly when you're just asking for someone's name. Informally, you just ask, what is your name? But formally, whoa, the question completely changes. It becomes, may I ask for your honorable surname? That phrase, guixing, literally builds respect right into the question itself. How cool is that?
So we've got respect for hierarchy down, but there's another core value that's just as important in shaping conversations, and that's the idea of harmony.
This concept is called 和谐 or 和谐, harmony. And really, the goal of so many social interactions is just to keep things smooth, positive, and totally balanced. And the language you use when you meet someone, it's the #1 tool for making that happen.
So for example, when you meet someone new, it's super common to just put a clear, positive statement out there. Something like, I'm very glad to meet you.
And what do you think the standard reply is? Well, it mirrors that sentiment perfectly. I am also very glad to meet you. This kind of back and forth, this mirroring, it's a really simple but super effective way to create an instant, harmonious connection. You're basically saying, hey, we're on the same page. And a huge part of keeping that harmony is modesty. If someone says, wow, your Chinese is great, the expected response is not a simple, oh, thank you. Instead, you kind of deflect it. You might say, you flatter me, or even, my Chinese is just so-so. Now, this isn't about having low self-esteem. It's a social tool. It's about maintaining that balance so that no one seems superior.
Okay, so we've talked about respect, we've talked about names, we've talked about harmony, but what does this all mean for you? How do you actually put this all together in a practical way?
All right, here are the most important things to remember. First, use nin to show respect to elders or superiors. That's a big one. Next, in any formal setting, stick with family name plus title.
Remember to mirror those polite phrases to build that harmony we talked about. And finally, practice a little modesty when someone gives you a compliment. Look, these aren't just random grammar rules. They are your toolkit for communicating effectively and respectfully.
Because at the end of the day, paying attention to these little details, it does something pretty remarkable. It takes you from just speaking the language correctly to actually understanding it. It shows you get it, you respect the culture behind the words, and that makes you sound not just fluent, but genuinely, truly culturally aware.
So that kind of leaves us with a question to think about, doesn't it? We've seen how Chinese greetings are all about respect and harmony. So what do the greetings you use every single day, without even thinking about it, say about your culture? Something to chew on, right? Thanks for diving into this with me.